Hey, welcome to the WODcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ifft, and each and every week we bring you an awesome, amazing show. I don't know what that was. That was a weird sound coming from my house. Like I said, we bring you a show about strength conditioning, CrossFit, working out, anything when it comes to health, making yourself better. I know you look at me and you don't think picture of health or fitness, but I aspire for fitness. And that's why whenever I find someone who seems to be an expert or doing something different, doing something interesting, doing something that I can expand my wealth of information, my broaden my horizons in fitness, I bring them on the show and talk to them because I like to learn from them and I hope you can learn from them. This week, random dude that I found via Instagram through Ronnie Teasdale, or the athlete former known as Ronnie Teasdale, who is now Raw of Earth, said, check this guy out. He's doing some pretty cool shit. And it was a lot of strongman stuff. His name's Nathaniel Mann. We talk all about all his different lifts, what he's doing. Maybe you can learn something from it. I hope you can. I like that the listeners get something from this show other than just entertainment. I hope you're entertained. I hope you find me funny. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I am. We have a lot of people that support this show. They are what we call our Patreons. Our patrons are, I don't know if Patreon, if it's that a French thing. Patreon. But the deal is that those nice people over at Maya Pucks and Leopard Paw, the Leopard Paw, not the Leopard Claw, give us some gifts to give you if you donate to the show. We've got an amazing product called the Maya Pucks, which is an electronic muscle stimulator that you hook up the pads on your body. It sends an electronic muscle stimulation to your muscles, which makes your muscles contract and expand without using them. So you're not going to hurt the tissue. You're basically making the blood flow into the area and making the waste leave the area, which is how you rehabilitate, get rid of inflammation, and it expedites the process. Well, these things are amazing. They're expensive, but we give one listener one each week. We just pick a random one, and we give you a leopard paw and a Maya Pucks. And I'm looking to see who we're giving one to this week, and I cannot find a name. So I'm probably just going to wait till the show to... Stephen Jeremiah has sent me another message. Stephen Jeremiah is a Patreon. I don't know if Stephen received his yet. I have been, sometimes, every once in a while, there is a... Stephen is here. Stephen is saying he has not received his. I am going to, Stephen, I'm going to personally send it to you myself. Because I don't know what's happening. He is our... he's our one guy that we're having trouble with right now. Otherwise, there have been hundreds and hundreds of people that have received these because we do one every single week. Like I said, I will announce later on the show when we pick one who is the winner of the Maya Pucks and Leopard Paw. As far as the show goes, we have sponsors. We have amazing sponsors that take care of us. I want to mention today's sponsor, who is, I'll mention them later in the show, but they are Naked Nutrition, which I just finished a smoothie from Naked Nutrition. I just put 2 scoops of their chocolate whey protein, which has there's nothing in it other than whey protein, a little bit of cacao, and I think coconut sugar or some sweetener that there's zero sugar. It's the cleanest ingredients of any protein I've found, and that's why I use it. And also our other sponsor this week is Mudwater. And I was just at a party, and everyone there was talking about Mudwater because they were all addicted to it now. Everybody likes Mudwater, and Mudwater is your coffee alternative. So we'll talk about that later in the show. Right now, I want to talk about me. Yeah, I am a stand-up comedian. That's what I do other than talk about fitness or do fitness-related shit. I tour all over the world. This week I was at the Comedy Store, the Improv, the West Side Comedy Theater. This week I'm at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club up in Ventura in the harbor. I'm doing a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday show. It's a lot of shows, a lot of nights. You can come see me if you live in the Ventura area. I will be there. That's this weekend. Then next week I am in Kansas City. Week after that I'm in Atlanta. Then I've got a week off, and then I head to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Brad Garrett's Comedy Club. After that, I think I'm in San Diego, a couple other places. Check out my dates. They're all at eddieifft.com. One thing that might be fun for you and would be great for me is if you bring your entire gym. And if you message me and say, hey, we want to set up a community activity, and we want to bring the whole gym out, I'll hook you up. Let me know. It would look good for me if 100 gym members showed up, and I promise I'll do lots of CrossFit jokes, and you guys will have a good time. No matter what, I promise you'll have a good time. But what better way to build your community? Come out to a comedy club, and or maybe we can work something out that I come to your comedy club or your gym and do a show at your gym. We can work that out. If I'm in your town, say Kansas City, say I'm in Atlanta, whatever, and you want to do Sunday afternoon, or contact me. Send me an email at WODcastpodcast@yahoo.com. We will get back to you, and we can make it happen. If you want to check out my special, it's Sweet Home Alabama. You can check it out on YouTube. See if I'm funny, then come out and see me live. But other than that, check out all my dates at eddieifft.com, and let's get this show rolling right now. And let's bring in Nathaniel Mann. Hey Nathan, how are you tonight?
Hi, great. How are you?
This is weird. Two men with children hiding. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
that's what I think. Have to wait till they go to sleep.
Longer to get the little one to bed today. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's on that duty right now. They were especially psychotic tonight, and I was like, this isn't going to happen. But thanks for being here. You were recommended. You came in highly recommended by one Ronnie Teasdale, or as he is known now, the artist formerly known, or the athlete formerly known as Ronnie Teasdale, now Raw of Nature. He said that he was the one who made me aware of your Instagram, and he said, you got to have this guy on your show. He's doing some really interesting things, and I've had some fun arguments with him on Instagram. So so I need to preface that if you're listening to the show right now, they should check out your Instagram first. Hit pause. Go check out, what do you call it? Atlas Shrugged? What is it?
Yeah, Atlas Power Shrug.
Atlas Power Shrug.
Fun. Not that I'm like an Ayn Rand fan, it's just fun.
Yeah, it was a good name. Knew nothing about you till I saw your Instagram. It's, first of all, I think what you're doing is really cool. Secondly, it's hilarious. You're in the middle of a parking lot, which looks like right outside an apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors have to love you.
Yeah, they're actually... They're not as interested as you might think, but they seem to be pretty positive. I've got a pretty good relationship with all of them, so that really helps.
But I mean, you're not just out there lifting weights or running around doing jogging around or jumping rope. You've got full on. You're loading up barbells with 5 plates on a side. That's not normal parking lot behavior for an apartment building.
Not generally, but when COVID lockdown happened, you have to do what it takes to survive.
Now, you mentioned to me that you used to work out at the same gym I used to work out, which was Paradiso CrossFit. You did it for what, a year?
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere between a year and 2, but not too long.
Now, so for the listener, if you haven't checked out his Instagram, you have a bit of what would be considered unorthodox lifting kind of and some people would say, oh, these are all typical lifts of way back in the day, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing a lot of these lifts. They're not common right now. I've done a couple of them myself, and there's a reason people don't do them. They're fucking hard.
Some of them were surprisingly easy.
Now, can you explain your kind of your theory behind strength and conditioning?
My theory, well, more on. I guess I'll just focus in on why I tend to go towards the old time stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Big picture, I feel like that's when enthusiasts that were really trying to get good at just lifting weights and being strong naturally. That's kind of what developed organically without a whole lot of capitalism trying to market fitness to a broader audience. Not that there weren't a bunch of scammers back then. I mean, there were absolutely a bunch of people just trying to make a buck back then. But as far as just trying to get trying to get a whole bunch of gyms open and just get everybody into the gym, that wasn't as much of a factor. So it was a little bit more of a kind of hardcore people that were serious about it. And they were natural. Obviously, steroids hadn't been invented then, so this is a population that for a fact wasn't using something. So probably a good resource for somebody who's not interested in using drugs for whatever reason. That this population's applicable to you. But I mean, ultimately, once I got into it, the theory worked. I guess in practical terms, it's just a much, much wider variety of heavy compound exercises. For whatever reason, compound exercises seem to work better, especially for natural athletes. I mean, pretty much any successful natural will tell you, heavy compound lifts, on a barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, are going to do a lot more than isolation exercises for machines. And when you get into these lifts, you really do have something for every part of the body. You don't have to rely on some sort of isolation or machine to get those hard to reach areas that usually you do with just the modern lifts. You do your squat, bench, and deadlift, and then you got to hit the rear delts or some parts of your back somehow. So you're going to hit those on the machines, or just maybe some kind of a light isolation exercise assistance work. Whereas you've got a heavy heavy compound lift for just about everything when it comes to the old time lifts, just because of the sheer variety. That's kind of the theory behind it.
But what led you onto this? How did you come about? I mean, I've been doing strength. It doesn't look it, trust me. But I've been like lifting weights, my whole life, and some of these lifts, I was like, I had seen them, but it was kind of, because it's not in the normal, or not, it's not common now. I was like, oh, these are gimmicky. Is this a gimmick move? And I understand, I totally understand functionality, and I understand why you do some of the, and I've always argued with, CrossFit, when they talk about the fittest or this or that, I've always I like strange objects, when they've got to lift things and take them to weird places and run them and do whatever, because to me, you can't train for that. There's a lot of skill work in CrossFit that takes away from fitness. And I would like to see fittest, not person with the most skill, but the person, I always go, give them a washing machine and say, hey, get this around the track as fast as you can. At the end, we'll see who the fittest is. Who's able to pick that up and carry it and do whatever they have to. That's the kind of thing that I want to see. I love the unknowing stuff, where they can't plan for it, they can't prepare. There's different objects, different sizes, different weights that they didn't know about. That's where I feel like we see the real true fitness, rather than how good are you at doing handstand push-ups or walking in the games. That's all skill work. And to me, maybe that's an aspect of fitness, and I do argue it, but I don't know. I feel like there's 5 or 10 things in CrossFit that you just train over and over and over, and you get skilled at it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are the fittest. Like that handstand walk this year in the games, I think it was so geared. Look, these guys have just gotten so great. They're like decathletes, that they're so great at all these different things.
Oh yeah.
But it's become, they're really good at CrossFit. When it comes to fitness, I think there's still arguments for people like other guys out there in different aspects in different sports that they are whatever, depending on what your definition of fitness is. I'm going in circles here, and I've done this a million times, so I'm going to try to get off of it. Give me an example of some of the lifts that you're doing that I've seen in your Instagram, like Zerchers and did I say that right?
Yeah, Zerchers. Named after Ed Zercher, who was an old-time strongman. I believe he was out maybe in the 30s or so. No, I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but yeah, Zercher lifts. I mean, you've got your for those who haven't seen them, you have your basic full Zercher cycle, which is essentially a conventional deadlift, where you then put the bar onto your knees to brace it, bend down, and get your elbows under the bar, and then you stand up with it in kind of a squatting motion. That's your basic full Zercher cycle. You can do these out of a rack. It's basically a squat with the bar on your elbows. You can do a Zercher deadlift from the ground, where you have the bar on the ground, hook your elbows under it on the ground. You can do walks with it. That's one of my favorites. Just pick up a bar and the grips of your elbows, take a walk with it. You can do one-arm Zercher deadlifts, which is one of my favorite little signature exercises. That one's fun, and it's surprisingly functional. I'm sure I'll get onto this at some point, but one thing I found when getting into all these weird exercises, you have no idea what's actually going to have value to you later on. Like some of the stuff you can just be doing for fun, you can just be doing because you want to beat Eric Bugenhagen. I don't know how many people know him. Ridiculously strong WWE guy that also does a lot of odd lifts. I started doing that when I tried to beat him. But then I found out, oh wait, this actually revolutionized my Zercher squat ability, when repping. Now I can use this as just more of an effective bodybuilding exercise. I can just, do 10 reps with a heavy weight easier. So it's one of those things where you think you're just doing it because it looks cool, and then you're like, wow, it actually helped. Cool. And I've run into that time and time again. So, okay, so I kind of don't look.
Let me interrupt for a second. I've done Zerchers before, like picking it up under the arm and putting it on the. It's incredibly painful. It's like when you're holding heavy weight and you're holding it on your forearms there, like in that kind of elbow crease. That's something I guess you have to train for, where eventually you adapt to it. But
absolutely,
starting out, you're like, oh my God, this just sucks. And it seems unconventional to the point of like, my body's not supposed to do this. It almost feels like it's not anatomically correct, or I'm out of I'm putting my body in a range of motion it's not supposed to be in of some sort. And that's what I felt. Now, I was doing that with 135 pounds or something. And I look at you and you've got plates all over every side. It looks like half your day spent putting plates on. So you're really strong in doing this. Was this a matter of did you have to build to this? Or was
absolutely.
Or just you took to that? You've been doing this a lot.
Oh yeah. So whenever I hear that, you get that a lot. It's really uncomfortable. It hurts. It's horrible. I mean, or at least at first it is. But I just try to remind everyone, how did high bar back squats feel the first time you did them? How did front squats feel? I mean, front squats for me, yeah. I'm still working on my wrist mobility.
Pretty brutal.
Not very comfortable, So, I mean, with any squat that you're using any appreciable weight, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. I mean, even when I take a layout for back squats and I get the bar on my back, oh, wow, that hurts. I don't want this here. This really sucks,
Yeah.
Our Zercher's a little bit more painful, yeah, but you do adapt to them if you put enough into them. And, yeah, I've been doing these for a decade.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, not all. Most of the odd lifts, most of the old time lifts, I really, really got into over the past. Actually, when the Corona lockdown happened, that's when I got into a lot of this stuff. But a select few of these, like the Zerchers, one-hand deadlifts, I've been doing for quite a while. So I've had a lot of time to adapt to them. And actually, those one-arm Zerchers really do help to just kind of adapt to where it's just perfectly comfortable. Now it's a nice little utility technique. I can just throw the bar across my elbows for pretty much anything. It's very helpful for a lot of lighter exercises you might not think of, like Cossack squats.
I saw you doing one-arm power cleans.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only person I've seen that's able to do that is Logan Aldridge, who only has one arm.
Yeah, he's got amazing technique because you are using. I mean, so the history of it is that used to be an Olympic lift. The Olympics used to be the one-armed and two-armed versions of both the snatch and the clean and jerk. So you do both of those one-armed and two-armed plus the clean and press. So it ended up being 5 lifts. They cut the one-arm versions just to save time because the competitions were taking way too long. So just kind of imagine where, weightlifting would be if that decision, which was made for time saving, hadn't taken place. But yeah, those used to be actual Olympic lifts.
I didn't know that those were lifts. I've said that about swimming because when you watch the Olympics, they're like, okay, now we're going to do the 50-meter freestyle. Then we're going to do the 100-meter freestyle. Then we're going to do the backstroke. Then we're going to do the breaststroke. Then we're going to do the butterfly. Then we're going to do the 200 freestyle. Then we're going to do the 500 freestyle. Then we're going to do the intermediate relay. And the same goes for track and field, where it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I look, I'm a big fan of track and field, but do we need 100, 200, 400? If you're good at one of them, shouldn't, for sake of time, shouldn't we just do the 200?
And with the lifts, I mean, it's all ultimately the same body type is going to be good at the same ones. But yeah, what I was going to say with that though is, I mean, if you look at the old textbooks, the offhand, the hand that you're not using to lift, features in quite heavily. You're supposed to brace on your knee. There's a certain way you brace in your knee and push with it to get extra lift, and you'll see me do it. Obviously, I'm using my other hand, so.
Oh, I'm great at that. I'm great at that with air squats.
So yeah, Logan. Yeah, so Logan. I mean, actually not having the arm brace with makes it very, very much more impressive. Plus, man, his jerk technique. I really want to get my wrist mobility to that point. I can't do the jerk or anything.
I could be wrong, but I think I saw Logan Aldridge do 225 recently.
Yeah, he did. So yeah. I mean, with two arms, I mean, yeah, I'm only using one for the clean. I can do 225, but I'm still using the other arm to generate power. It's just, and then the jerk. I mean, I couldn't even come anywhere close to that. Just his rack position is incredible.
So what is your fitness background? Are you a trainer? Are you just a enthusiast?
Hobbyist.
You're what?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just a hobbyist. That's it.
But you're, it's funny that Ronnie found you. I don't know where he's searching on the internet. And he's just like, right away, he's like, you got to see this guy. And you're a little bit like Ronnie. Ronnie works out in jean shorts. You work out in jeans.
I think I was just following him, and I made some comments on some of his posts because he says a lot of really interesting stuff, and he's really good about actually discussing things with you when you post on his posts, even if you disagree with him. So I think that's where it came from.
He's definitely a very, very interesting person. You wear the Vibram 5 fingers too. Is there a reason for that?
I just like them. I just kind of on accident fell into it. I didn't know what I was going to be doing for a day, so I had water shoes on, ended up hiking in water shoes, really liked it, and decided to get in on the barefoot thing. I wouldn't have done it otherwise, but I was like, yeah, that's cool. That was about it.
I can't stand them.
Yeah. I mean, I had to go through a couple pairs to get one to fit right, but it works pretty well.
I actually wear the toe socks like that because I have this thing called a neuroma in my foot, which is basically like a pinched nerve, and I had to have my feet splay. Like hockey players get it, skiers. I got it from skiing from ski boots too tight, and mostly women get it from wearing high heeled shoes. So I lied about the ski boots. I got it from the high heeled shoes, but I get it. And when I did a long distance run, like a really, really long run, and I knew that my feet were going to swell. And it was going to get bad, so I wanted them. So I bought really wide toe box and wore the toe socks so they could splay the whole time, and they were great. So look, I am a big fan of barefoot and running barefoot, and I can get when I see people deadlift with no shoes on, I'm kind of like, wow. I just feel like I need that support, and I don't feel like. I guess it's something you have to build up. But I see so many people deadlift without, they take their shoes off and they get down.
Oh yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, not for
You're
me.
basically doing a deficit. I mean, it's kind of like a deficit deadlift if you have shoes on.
I never thought of that you're actually giving yourself an extra inch.
Yeah, I mean, all the power lifters will either wear slippers or just socks or something. Yeah, you won't catch a power lifter deadlifting a serious weight in shoes.
I did not know that, and I'm looking on here. I see. I don't know if it is a snatch. It looks like a snatch. You're holding 310 above your head.
That was an Arthur lift. That's
Wait.
yeah. It's a little hard to explain. Yeah, you'll have to watch the video to understand that.
What?
You know
Okay, I'm watching it. Oh my God.
You know the continental and jerk? Yeah, it's basically a continental and jerk except up the back.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's not as bad as it looks, I promise. It's actually, believe it or not, every time I do those, and you're not going to believe me, but my low back feels better. There might be some mild bruising if I went for a serious PR, but it actually makes my low back feel better.
And that's called a full Arthur lift?
Yeah, so it's named after Arthur Saxon, one of the turn of the century strongmen. The full Arthur lift is the continental clean and then the jerk. But my favorite way to use these is just as a platform for squats. Yeah, no, I promise.
It looks brutal. It looks like it would kill your shoulders, kill your lower back. But I mean,
believe it or not, the low back always feels actually better. I've gone into it with an achy low back a couple times and ended up feeling much better. I think I've kind of tried to figure out what it is, and I think it kind of in some ways mimics the seated good morning in terms of positioning. I mean, that's something that a lot of people swear by for low back, except it's kind of a dynamic version. I know. It's going to be a hard sell.
I'm posting this. By the way, this might be the one I post on our YouTube and on our Instagram page because this looks so fucking painful. Like and look, you just jerked 310 pounds from your shoulders, which is no easy feat at all. With a wide grip. Wow.
Hey guys, like I said, this podcast today is brought to you by Naked Nutrition, which I just had a Naked Nutrition smoothie that I made with chocolate whey powder, half a banana, 1 scoop of peanut butter, some ice, some almond milk. It's excellent. I like the name Naked. I like to go, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting naked with my Naked Nutrition. The reason it's naked is because it has the cleanest ingredients in the world. It means no artificial additives. It means the fewest and purest ingredients, and you know exactly what's going into your body. That's what Naked Nutrition offers. Come on. So what happened is basically a guy back in like 2014 who was a former college athlete just like looked around and he was like, all these protein powders have so much crap in them, and you don't need a chemistry degree to see that. So he went ahead and said, I'm going to start a single ingredient supplement. And now they have more than just one supplement, but they have what I love, which is that grass-fed whey, and it's sourced from California dairy farms. It's grass-fed. You know you need the grass-fed to get the high omega-3 fatty acids. If you don't know about that, man, you haven't listened to this show because we talk about it constantly. Now, more than ever, they've gotten into so many different products. They've got 40 different products, including a wide range of protein powders, supplements, but still, their commitment to transparency and the fewest and purest ingredients remain the same. So check them out. Look, I don't care if you're trying to get your new 1-rep max or you're trying to get better at burpees or, whatever, faster on the rowing machine. You need results. This is what you got to do. You know the deal. Right after you do your workout, swig down. It goes great with water, coconut water, whatever you want. Just water alone, it's great. It goes down so smooth, tastes delicious, and it, like I said, fewest ingredients. So, look, and like I said, Naked Nutrition is committed to shortening the steps between their farm and yours. Get naked, save 10% on your first order using the code WODcast10 at nakednutrition.com. Again, that's code WODcast10. You're going to save 10% at nakednutrition.com. It's nutrition with nothing to hide.
Can you do the normal lifts? Are you good at clean and jerk and snatch?
Absolutely terrible.
Are you really? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I have some mobility in some areas. I'm really working on that deep squat stuff. I can't really do a proper, squat snatch. My squat clean is actually lower than my power clean. I think I did a really nasty meathead power clean with 305. I think my best actual squat clean is like 265. So very, very mediocre numbers.
Yeah, but I'm watching you do a Zercher Cossack squat with 185 pounds. I don't like doing Cossack squats with no weight. Like those are painful. Like the it looks like you've got mobility.
So the thing
here.
is, that's actually a little bit of a hack because I can barely. I've gotten through using the Zercher hold. I've gotten to the point where I can do them unweighted, but it took a lot. I just got my mobility there. Having that counterweight in front of you actually does help to get down to the position. If you're like me, you're not that mobile. So I'm like, it looks like more than it is because I'm actually using the weight as much as I'm lifting.
Okay, I see your point. When
I first started those, I couldn't really get to that deep position unweighted. Now I'm just barely able to do it because the weights kind of help pull me into the position. But yeah, I'm coming from just kind of more of a meathead powerlifter type background. And I'm kind of a new convert as far as the mobility stuff. I'm working on it, but I'm not super flexible yet. I'm definitely a work in progress there.
The Kelly snatch looks brutal.
Love it.
Looks brutal. It's almost like a behind your back snatch.
Yeah. That's another one where it's like it's not something that I ever thought that it'd be that useful. It's just something. I don't know if you follow Strongman Archaeology, James Fuller on Instagram.
No, I will though.
He's a fantastic resource for just all the old time lifts. I mean, anything you want, he's got demoed somewhere on there. It's just the only problem is getting through his giant page and actually finding all the stuff. But yeah, just saw him doing that one time. Just figured I'd try it.
Okay,
and,
hold on.
Hold on. And eventually,
hold on. I'm watching you. You're hanging from a ring from a tree. You're hanging. Your feet are not touching the ground. You've got a 45-pound bar with 2 10s on each side, it looks like. And you're curling it and then pressing.
Yeah, that was just for fun. I saw a Russian guy do that. Do you follow any Russians on any Russian weightlifters on Instagram?
No, just
you got to.
Just Russian prostitutes. No.
Well,
Russian
honestly,
lifters.
you'll probably see more shocking. I mean, you see plenty of you live in LA, right?
Yeah.
So you probably see all the streetwalkers. You'll see more. Trust me, if you look at what the Russian lifters do, you'll see much more shocking and horrifying things. Don't worry.
I've seen them occasionally, like not Romanov, Klokov and his guys in their gym doing. Occasionally, they do something that is like, "Hey, look at me! I'm doing something funny." It's like these guys spend so much time in the gym. You'd think they have more party tricks because it's all they do is lift. You'd think, look.
Those guys. I mean, Klokov keeps it pretty professional, but I mean, some of these guys. Well, honestly, there are quite a few of the guys that actually do straight up old time lifting like me, and then there are some of them that are just maniacs that just. I mean, I've seen guys, throwing weights to each other and catching them in a clean position.
I've seen that one.
These guys are lunatics out there. I don't know what they're on, but but some of them are just straight up impressive.
What's with the jeans? How come you're wearing jeans in every workout and no shirt?
So honestly, it just started because it started out as what I was wearing around the home, and when I started doing workouts at home with the lockdowns, it just was what I happened to be wearing. And then, eventually it just kind of became a thing, combination of people being like, "Why are you working out in jeans?" And I'm like, well, okay, now I can't stop. I mean, people don't like it, so of course I'm going to continue. And I mean, they're flexible, they're stretchy, so like, what's the problem? But yeah, I mean, now that it's the thing that everybody comments on, like, why are you wearing jeans? Well, of course I'm going to keep wearing them. Now I'm going to wear them forever. I mean, that's pretty much it.
That's too funny. You live in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
And this is just a hobby for you?
Yep, just a hobby.
Wow. And so when you started doing CrossFit, what happened? How long did you said you did it for like a year?
Yeah, I did it for about a year.
I would think, like watching you, that it would just be so easy for you and you would take to it really quickly.
Well, that was before. I think I would honestly do way better at it now.
Mm-hmm.
I was still more of kind of a dumb powerlifting mentality at the time, so I was, fairly good at the conventional lifts, a few odd lifts thrown in here and there, but I hadn't really worked on mobility at all. Now I do a lot of calisthenic stuff. I wasn't really good at any of that at that time. And yeah, I mean, I was just, my mentality then was just kind of the dumb power lifter, like squat, bench, and deadlift are all that matters type thing. So I wasn't that good at it. I didn't really probably take advantage of it as well as I could.
Yeah. You had no cardio, or was it?
It wasn't the cardio. It was really more just, the skills I didn't have. And I mean, like you were saying earlier, some of that stuff, it's like, okay, do I really need that? Do we really need like 17 forms of cardio? Like, do I really need to be able to jump rope really well? But then some of it was just stuff that I, honest to God, wasn't good at and should have gotten good at,
Though I found the guys that are into it competitively, they get the skills down. They get how to jump rope. They get how to do whatever the skill may be. And then it just comes down to Olympic lifting a lot and doing a lot of cardio on like either a rower or on an assault bike, where they just hammer the thing and hammer, like just condition themselves for it. It's not like there are all these things, and every day you go into CrossFit and they've got a whole different workout every day. And I think that's just, that has to be done to create variety for the average person so they don't get bored. But for the people that really are trying to get like the bang for their buck because they want to get competitive or they want to be good, they're like, look, the hard work is here. I'm just going to buckle down and do this. But I would think someone like, no offense, but I would think anyone that's in physical fitness, strength, and there's an ego. There's an ego there, and CrossFit capitalizes on the ego. You get in there, you see this person next to you, you're like, I should be kicking this guy's ass. And then all of a sudden you're not. And so that's what brings you back the next day. You're like, I'm not going to let that guy beat me. I don't understand why he did. I know I'm stronger than him. I know I'm faster. I know I'm fitter. I know I'm this. And he had that little skill. So I would think that would have happened to you, that you would have.
I mean, that was kind of more a negative thing for me than anything, because it's like I could be, I could hang with the top competitors in a lot of cases on some of the actual lifts. So I would always try to go really heavy on that stuff. But then I'd be kind of overwhelming my recovery capability, because I tend to go kind of all out on stuff and push. Like for me, it's like I'll do a really heavy squat session or deadlifts or what have you, and then I won't even touch that for the entire week. That's kind of the background I'm coming from. So I'm hanging with these guys for one day, and then they're back doing it the next day. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, where's the whole week? So it didn't. So as far as I had kind of a mismatch between my my lifting ability and some of the other abilities and my recovery ability. So that ended up being more of a negative thing.
Well, that's a lot of the theory behind CrossFit is, hey, if you're a fireman and there's a burning building, you got to climb up 100 flights of steps that day. There might be a burning building the next day, and you've got to climb up 100, and you're not going to get a rest day. So that was the theory. I agree and disagree with it. I think that it does prepare you, but at the same time, I also think it breaks you down to the point where, hopefully we're all not firemen and have to climb up stairs, and even firemen, hopefully they don't have to climb up 2 days in a row. And so that, it's like, are we developing, or are we sort of like, I do a lot of hobbies, and I just was always like, I want to go do my hobby, but I can't, because I can't lift my arms above my head right now because I'm so sore. So on my own, I started programming kind of away from that. And then I noticed that all the gyms started moving away from that kind of thing where, one day, it's almost specific body part, or like upper and lower body, like work out this day, rest, then work on lower body on this part of the day, this next day, and give yourself a break. Then, and I feel like there's a little more, not periodization, but a little more, they're definitely way smarter about programming. Because I just remember that, like, you deadlift one day and the next day they're like, we're deadlifting. I'm like, didn't we just do our 1 rep max yesterday and we're gonna now do 10 sets with 5 deadlifts at 305? You're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I was just sore all the time. And so it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I'm just like, if there's soreness now, I don't hit that. I'm like, we're taking a break. Don't need to that's the whole idea of this, is to let it heal and let it strengthen, and I'm not breaking it down again. So so I get.
But I mean, you kind of can't with that, because you have so many things that you have to train just to practice the skill. You can't really fully rest, or you're not going to get the skill right.
What time? What year was it that you were working out there?
Ooh. Maybe 2015 or 16, maybe.
I was probably there then. Yeah. You weren't at the Marina Del Rey one. You were at the Venice one.
I went to the Marina one sometimes, more often the Venice one.
Okay, then we were at the same place.
Wow.
Yeah. I was back there then. That's when I lived down in Venice. What got you into weightlifting? Were you in sports in high school, or what was it?
Yeah, I did judo in high school. At that time it was still kind of traditional. If you lift weights, you're going to be muscle bound, etc. But I was competing at around, I forget the weight division, but I was around 170 at 6 feet tall, getting my ass handed to me by guys that were also 170 but 5'5" and muscular. So I was like, okay, I can put 2 and 2 together. I need to get stronger, so started lifting weights. Liked that better. It was more convenient, more fun, more progress. So I just kind of didn't worry about judo anymore, and took weights really seriously.
So you don't do judo at all anymore?
No, unfortunately. Now I kind of want to get back into it, but I don't have time.
I feel like judo is kind of a lost art. Like, it's been forgotten because of jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. And that's a shame. I mean, I feel like it's more applicable, in real life than Brazilian jiu-jitsu in a lot of cases. I mean,
why would you say that? I'm just curious.
I mean, just because you actually, in real life, you don't just grapple on the ground. You're going to probably start grappling standing up and actually have to, take someone to the ground before you can do ground stuff. Yeah, it's wonderful to be a master of groundwork and, be able to put someone in really good submissions once you're on the ground. But, I mean, that's not how it started. Right. And also, in real life, you don't want to be just sitting there trying to get this perfect submission either. You want to, just kind of be able to control the fight quickly and get out of there. It served me well.
A lot of MMA guys take judo though too, don't they?
I mean, I know some of them have that background. I think for the MMA guys, the BJJ is, it's preferable because they already have a good stand-up strategy. They know what they're going to do standing up. But if you're just, what I see now is a lot of guys off the street that don't really have a martial arts background want to do BJJ, and it's like, okay, what are you going to do when you're not on the ground?
Yeah. It's weird. I had that talk. I was on Rogan's show once, and we were talking. He was asking me why I did CrossFit, and I told him, and he said he made a really funny comment once. He said, my worst person in my jiu-jitsu class will beat your best CrossFitter in a fight. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And he said, his argument with jiu-jitsu was most fights end up on the ground eventually. And so you're going to win it on the ground. And, well, I've had other people say sucker punches win a lot of fights.
The judo response to that is, but how you go to the ground matters a lot. Because, do you just kind of go to the ground in a neutral way, or did you throw his ass down, really decisively, smack his head on the concrete? So how did you get to the ground is just as important as what you do once you're there.
Right.
That would be the judo answer. But
yeah.
Because, I know back in my competitive, when I was a judo competitor, I'd get someone to the ground and get beat a lot of the time. So it's, but if you get a decisive throw in there, that's not going to happen. That's kind of our answer.
Did you grow up here in LA?
No, actually, I grew up in Mississippi.
Oh, that's
yeah, a little bit different.
What brought you out here?
Grad school, funnily enough. Oh. That was a dumb decision. I regret that.
What'd you go to grad school for?
Psychology. I quit. It was dumb.
And there's enough crazy people in LA that they can study.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they were doing any legitimate research, I'm sure they would. Well,
listen, I'm in the comedy business. If they need to research anyone, every single person I work with is mentally disabled.
Oh, and not only that, you live in LA. So.
Yeah, I always say they should take down the Hollywood sign and put up a sign that just says "Daddy didn't love me," because it's an entire town full of people that are looking for that love that they didn't get from their father.
Yeah, yeah, that's one way to put it. It's an interesting place, man.
How long you been here?
About, what is it? Yeah, 15 years now.
Oh yeah, me too. I think I'm about on 15 years too. It just flew. Time flew. And you get married and then you can't leave.
Yeah, and then you're here, yeah.
You didn't want to go back to Mississippi though, did you?
No. I mean, until I look at the cost of living, yeah. I had fond memories.
Yeah, I went to Mississippi one time for twice. I did a series of shows there in Jackson, Mississippi. I think I was in Jackson.
Yeah, that was the area.
That's where you're from?
Yeah.
Are you getting kicked out right now?
No, I'm just having to maneuver a little bit.
You what?
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, I'm just having to change my location.
So you're near Jackson, Mississippi?
Yeah, that was where I grew up, actually.
This is hilarious. You're behind a plant now. I cannot see you.
Yeah, oh God. It's not even between two ferns. I don't even know what this thing is called. It's between one non-fern. I don't know.
You got this like Burt Reynolds look like you could have been an actor. You didn't do the acting thing like everyone else.
No, I had no interest in that.
You're the only one.
The casting couch is not for me.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Sorry, is that too low? Or?
No, I could care less. There's no way.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible to offend me. So, people try all the time, and I'm like, doesn't hurt. And what do you do? Do you use your psychology degree now?
No.
Not at all. You just hang out in the parking lot of your building doing weird lifts that people must drive by and be like, what is this guy doing?
Pretty much.
Is that stuff like, are the Strongmen, the Eddie Halls, and these guys, Robert Opes, are they doing these kind of lifts that you're doing?
Very selectively. I saw somebody set a new record in the Steinberg squat, which I'm terrible at. That's the one where you raise one into the bar, get under it, squat down, come back up. I think one of them got like 550 or so on that recently, but they don't do a whole lot of them. They used to do more. I know they used to have one-hand deadlifts. There's an awesome video of John Paul Sigmarsson back in the 80s, I guess, 70s or 80s, doing a one-hand deadlift. He's got his arm flexed while holding the bar with one hand. It's iconic, but they don't really do that stuff anymore. I don't know why.
We did it. The only thing I can equate to it is we would do sometimes at CrossFit. We would do farmers carries with 135 on each side. So you'd have to pick up full. You'd have 135 on each side, and it wasn't so much the weight because that's like 270 pounds. That's not a very tough deadlift. The hard part was balancing it in your hands and keeping, not just one of them, two of them from tipping. And, and then it would be like, you got to walk like 25 yards with it.
Yeah.
And so you're walking with these. And I just remember dreading that because I was like, it'd be like 3 rounds of it. As you're doing the workout, you're like, oh, I got to go back to holding this weight and I know I'm gonna have to put it down 15 times because I can't balance it. But at the end of it, you're sitting there going, wow, that was really good because I was working muscles I never work. And I feel like when I was done with that, I was like, I feel like a man now. I feel like I really did something, opposed to, this, like you said, in isolation. Even though these compound movements that they do, whether it be a snatch or a clean and jerk or whatever it is, you're going, I've worked on this skill so much that I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. Whereas these things, as I start to lose balance, I start having to use different parts of my body that I haven't used, and that's why I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I like all that. Like the stones. Rob Orlando tried to talk me into getting a stone. I'm like, no, I don't want to break my feet. I feel like I'll be that guy. I will drop a stone. I already drove over one in my car. So
yikes!
I drove over a full-size stone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'd hate to see the bill on that. Man.
Yeah, it was my wife's car. I blamed it on the valet. I was like,
nice.
I can't believe these valet guys.
Yeah, those guys. Hard to get good talent.
Unbelievable. And then we sold the car, just damaged. I went, here, just send it away.
Nice.
So it wasn't, I thought it could be worse.
Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about mud water. I was talking about it all weekend. I was at a party. Everybody was drinking it. Everybody loved it. And I think you should try it too. If you're like me and you can't drink coffee because coffee gives you the jitters and anxiety, why don't you try mud water? It's got 1/7 of the caffeine as a cup of coffee, and it's got all kinds of other cool stuff. These ingredients that just do amazing stuff for you. It's got 4 aptogenic mushrooms and Ayurvedic herbs. Okay? What are they in there for? What are all these ingredients? Well, they've got cacao and chai for mood. It's got a microdose of caffeine. It's got lion's mane for alertness. Have you ever heard of lion's mane? It's big talk now. Everybody's talking about lion's mane. Makes you alert. Cordyceps. They are there to help support your physical performance. And chaga and reishi to support your immune system. It's also got turmeric. I don't know if you've heard me talk about turmeric, but I can't stop talking about it because it's so good for inflammation. So this turmeric is great for your post-workout soreness. And it's also got cinnamon in there for antioxidants and for taste. We all like cinnamon. So check them out. Try these out. It's a delicious thing. And you don't just have to drink it just like a cup of coffee or anything. Like a drink. I put it in my smoothies. So I was talking earlier about how I do my naked waste smoothie. A lot of times I'll throw this in to get all those added benefits and get that kind of energy spike that I need. So, so many good things. Like it's nice to know that in one drink I'm getting the protein that I need. I'm getting, oh wow, I've got the lion's mane for alertness and the caffeine that's going to pep me up, and then I've got turmeric in there that's going to fight my inflammation. So check it out. It's just awesome, and you can find that Mudwater is also Whole30 approved. It's 100% USDA organic. It's non-GMO. It's gluten-free. It's vegan. It's kosher certified. Sounds great, right? We'll go get it right now. Go to Mudwater, mudwtr.com/WODcast. That's mudwtr.com/WODcast. You're going to support the show. You're going to support yourself. You're going to support Mudwater. We're all going to benefit from this. And you're going to do it by putting in that code WODcast to checkout. You're going to get $5 off. So like I said, Mudwater. This is the stuff you need. If you're like me, you don't like coffee or you can't handle coffee, check out Mudwater because it has so many more benefits than coffee. And you're going to love it. And you're going to let me know. All right? So again, Mudwater, mudwtr.com/WODcast. And use WODcast for $5 off.
So what's the goal with all this you're doing? Do you do strongman competitions? Do you do...
No, I don't. And I would probably not do that well because just like with CrossFit, there's just so many things that you actually have to practice with those. I mean, you have all these different implements. Like I've never used one of the log implements. I played around with logs and, with like fallen trees in the woods, but I've never used one of the log implements with the handles. There's just so much stuff that you actually have to practice. It's kind of a shame. Like you were saying, like it'd be cool if they would just have competitions and they just go get a dryer out of a junkyard and say, hey, what can you do with it? But it's not like that. It's all like, kind of preset stuff. You have this particular type of stone. You have this type of, log with the handles. You have, this type of, what they call it? The Viking press.
Yeah, I hate that shit. It's like, okay, let's get this log, but we're going to have handles built into it. So it's just like lifting a bar. Or we're going to pull a bus, but we're going to have a chain, and on the end of it's going to be these straps that you put onto it. So it's just the same as, a sled. It's just much heavier. I'd like them to, I just like the kind of idea of like, here's a hill, here's a Volkswagen. Figure out how to get it to the top of the hill. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to do it? Where are you going to put your hands? That way they just can't prepare for this kind of stuff. I don't know why no one agrees with me. I'm looking at another one of your videos where you're wearing a suit and doing a one-arm deadlift.
So I'm not, getting into the actual backstory of that, be a little bit too much, but basically I was prevented from actually doing my workout all day because of some nonsense that required me to be in a suit. And I was really irritated by that. So just like, I'd already taken my weights out and had to go, whatever. Long story, long day. Anyhow, when I got back, I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do something. Loaded however much is on there on the bar. No chalk, no warm up, just lifted it. And that was it for the day.
And you have a wife, right?
Yeah.
Does she think you're crazy?
Sometimes. I think she does right now.
She's like, why are they talking to you on a podcast about this?
Yes.
This is because I find it fascinating. A lot of these lifts I've never seen before. When you said you learned the Turkish Get Up at CrossFit Paradiso.
I did.
I fucking hate Turkish Get Ups.
Oh, why?
I think they're great. I think they are so good for you. I mean, I think there's nothing better for stabilizing your shoulder, for working your core. There are so many reasons to do them. It's just the how focused you have to be, how slow it is, how, to me, that's boring. It's so boring and hard. It's like really fucking hard. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I should probably do them all the time. They're so good, but I hate them. So I don't do them. I do them as little as possible.
It's a little goes a long way. I mean, especially once you get into the higher weights, they really do strain a lot of things. It's something where a little goes a long way, but you can easily do too much. I mean, it's definitely a little bit is good wrist training. Sure. A lot wrist strain. A little bit is awesome for shoulder stability. Maybe once every couple weeks. But if you try to just really push it hard every week, you're going to end up with a lot of aches in your elbows and various things. So I love them. I think they're a fantastic exercise, but kind of all, like a lot of exercises that that might have a very powerful benefit. It can also be easy to do too much, but they are great.
Well, I'm like looking at this stuff. Do you have are you doing a lot of 1 rep max stuff?
Right now I am, and I mean, it depends on the exercise. Turkish Get Ups, I tend obviously to go lower weight because, I mean, if you do super high reps, you're going to be there for 30 minutes. Although I've started doing reps and I do like them. Other stuff I tend, like squat type exercises, deadlift type stuff, I tend to do a lot more reps on. It all depends on, what the exercise is and whether it lends
So what do you do? Do you do like a different body, do you go out today, I'm just going to do Zercher squats, or today I'm going to do Cossack squats, or I'm going to do Turkish Get Ups, and you just work on one thing for a while, or do you have a whole plan and program that you have out?
I've got kind of a loose program. Usually I have one exercise that I'm more focused on for the day, but then I'll do some stuff afterwards. So, if I do Zercher squats, then I might do, say, I don't know, sissy squats or barbell hack squats afterwards. Something, it's usually going to be one kind of heavy, serious exercise and then something lighter afterwards. I do a lot of rotation, so I don't do the same thing super frequently, but it's all kind of in a 2 to 3 week rotation. Just so I'm not beating the same things up every single week, but I'm also continuing to progress in the same things every time.
Yeah, because I don't understand how you're not sore all the time. Like looking at these, I'm like,
I am sore for a couple of days after the heavy workout, but I usually recover. And I found there's specific strain to a particular exercise that maybe it takes potentially even more than a week to recover from. But then there's kind of general fatigue, which goes down faster. So you might, if you do a really heavy, brutal, conventional deadlift workout, you might need more than 1 week to be fully, completely healed from that. But if you did, say, squats sooner than that, you'd be good to go, just because kind of the very specific areas are not stressed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel the same way. With sometimes I'll rest a body part and I'll just be like, that's kind of sore, I'll rest it, and then it'll get worse where I'm like, oh, that needed to be worked. like the pain stays away because I'm working it and moving it, and I need to do more. Like if I take off for too long, it's like my whole body goes to shit. I'm like, I got to get back in the gym because I'm sore now. So I get that, but I tend to believe it's just high volume shit is where I get that soreness that I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So like a lot of the heavy lifting, unless deadlift aches my whole body every once in a while, I'll try to go really heavy. Like the next day I'm like, oh my God, my neck hurts, my toes hurt. I didn't know you could hurt every part of your body like this. So I think your Instagram is absolutely hysterical. Some of these, like the deadlift where you've got, what's it called when you split it through your legs?
Jefferson Deadlift.
I guess there's probably some meatheads out there that are listening. It's like, how does he not know all these lifts? And it's like, because I've done all the conventional ones. And I never really liked strongman shit, probably because I'm such a wimp. And I tended to move more towards conditioning. Do you do any conditioning at all?
Not intentionally. No. So, I guess in reality I do. I'm constantly out on hikes with my kid, toddler, a year and a half. So I've got her in the carrier going up mountains on hikes like twice a day, just keeping her occupied, having fun with her. So I do a lot of what was the terminology? Low intensity, steady state. Is that what they call it? The low intensity, steady state cardio. So I do a lot of that. I'm a big fan. I
call it porn star fitness. I used to see, when I used to work out at Gold's Gym in Venice, I would see all the porn stars, and they would do like the dudes. They would do, and how I know them, I don't know. But I would see them like work out, like they would lift, and they would do the really, typical like different one body part a day. Like 4 or 5 exercises for that body part, and concentrations at the end, and then they would get on the treadmill and walk forever. And it was just that that burn that body on a hill usually, and just burning their fat, so that they were like at 6% body fat, so so they had no paunch near their junk, so it looked bigger. But it was it was like these, like the most ripped guys at Gold's were always the like porn star dudes. And it's funny because everybody thinks, you got to work out constantly to, you look at CrossFitters, so many of the top guys have a little bit of chub to them, like they're a little chunky, and you're like, what? What's that? And it's like they need that for the energy, the endurance to make it throughout the the strength to do things, whereas the guys that are just like ripped to shreds would bonk out, like
it all kind of depends too on what your definition of ripped to shreds is, because if you're comparing to the fitness models you see on Instagram, those guys are not going to be able to do something functional. But by normal people standards, I'm sure these CrossFitters are still ripped.
No, I don't want to take anything away from them. They all are, but it's just funny. You see a guy, and I don't want to say names, Fraser Veltner, but they're not, they just look like a solid kind of linebacker, in football, like a guy who lifts weights a lot, but a guy who's not, weighing his food.
Right.
And not, checking the, to make sure that there's no fat, no carbs, because they've got to, fast to make sure that they've got 6% body fat. These guys are just workhorses, and they constantly are eating to keep energy in. So they're probably storing a lot to use for later. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Just like what body fat percentage is optimal, and it's not really, doesn't seem to be a clear answer. I mean,
no.
I know looking back at, now you've got a lot of people trying to stay in a lot of sports. You have people trying to stay in weight classes, so they may get more shredded than they would otherwise. But then you've also got a lot of anabolics going on. But even back in the day, you would see a lot of champions with abs and certain lifts, but you never see a champion strict presser or bench presser with abs.
No, I mean, some of those guys are fat fucks.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I can maintain my strength and get fairly lean on everything. I don't see any kind of strength decrease. But when it comes to just strict pressing or bench pressing, I mean, I lose body weight, boom, gone. I mean, I'm barely even lifted anymore.
I've been ripped once in my life, and it was just like a couple of years ago, and that's because I had some kind of bacterial infection and had diarrhea for 3 weeks straight and couldn't eat. And I looked like I came out of Auschwitz. I mean, I think I lost 25 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm like, I was like 175. No, I was 180, and I dropped down to 155 or something. And it was like sickly how little I was. My wife was like, "Can you please like put weight on? It's getting kind of gross, like being around you. You're like a little tiny man." And I was like, "Wow, but look, my abs, I'm so ripped." And she's like, "Yeah, so are people in Auschwitz, like,
oh my God,
it's not a healthy look."
It's funny how I mean, that's kind of the direction your mind goes if you're in fitness. Yeah, I had some sort of something similar, but fortunately for only a couple days, I still lost like 10 pounds, but it's like, oh wow, yeah, cool. I kind of finished off my cut really quickly. I had like another couple months, and now I'm done.
All the water goes out of you when you shit all that water out. You're like, well, I'm carrying no water weight, and I look emaciated. You are not a fan of steroids, I noticed by your Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan. I'm not like moralistic against it or anything. It's just, it's not my thing. Honestly, I think it's been done to death. It's not interesting. Like, I've been thinking about making a post on this. I feel like that'd be a good post. But honestly, if I'd been lifting in like the golden era, like Arnold's era, I'm sure I would have been a juicer, because at that time it was cool to see, you see people doing things that have never been done before. You got Arnold and the guys blowing up to proportions nobody's ever seen. It's all this like uncharted territory. But now it's like, to actually push the limits of what humans can do on steroids, you just have to get to a point where no one wants to be. I mean, nobody wants to look like professional bodybuilders. Even they kind of don't. I don't think they want to do that,
I've always wondered that if those guys, at a certain point, it's like your life is not functional. Like you got to a point to make yourself a certain way, because it's like sort of an excellence you're achieving, but there's so much that you've lost by doing it. You've lost all this mobility. You've lost, I don't know.
Just aesthetics. Yeah. I think you have to weigh two competing things. Do you want to look a certain way, or do you want to push the envelope, push the boundaries, and be the best at what you do? And I think when you see a pro bodybuilder, you're seeing somebody who's just wants to push the envelope and be the best. And I mean, I think you see like the whole fake natty thing that's been huge over the last 10 years.
What's that? The guys that go to the natural bodybuilding competitions and they...
Yeah, I mean, these guys who, like, Mike O'Hearn and all that are claiming to be natural, but obviously they're not. But it's really, in reality, what a lot of that was foreshadowing of they call it now classic physique, where you have to be, you're obviously a drug-using bodybuilder, but you try to have more like Arnold type look with an actual small waist and, not quite as huge. So I think a lot of it was just people that wanted to be bodybuilders but didn't want to look like 300-pound freaks. So what do? How do they seem like they're good but actually look the way they want to, claim natural?
Well,
so I'm not a fan of these guys, but I understand
that to me is like the most asinine thing I've ever heard of, that people actually like are natural but yet use drugs because they're cheap. Like a bunch of people just got popped in CrossFit. So this year was like, it seems to me, the most people caught in CrossFit for doping. And yeah, they always deny it. I love the argument that's going on this week about it. And what I see, I've always said, look, there's a lot of people out there, they're like, we don't do it. So like, stop saying we all do it. There are people out there that do not use it. And I'm like, I don't doubt that, but I know there are a lot that do. And if you're doing it, if you're competing and you're competing well and you're not doing it, you're amazing. You're amazing.
Yeah.
But my problem is that you then have to compete knowing in the back of your head that the guy you're going up against might be using drugs that are assisting him to do better than you. And you're going, can I beat this guy? He's not natural. I'm natural. So I would like to see an all-out, in CrossFit especially, an all-out like division of like, do whatever you want. I don't care if you inject testosterone into your ball sack. I don't care what you do. But I'd like to see a natural division too. And you have your choice of going and then there's no reason to test. It's like
that would be great, because that's one. I'll say negative things about powerlifting here and there, but that's one awesome thing that powerlifting does, that they've really gotten down. That they have an open division where you're untested, and they have tested divisions. So I'm sure there are some people cheating in the tested division, but no one really cares about tested powerlifters anyway.
That's so weird to me that there's a tested division and that they cheat. But it's just weird.
No, I mean, there's always for whatever reason, there seems to be this drive for folks to cheat the system. I mean, it's pretty lucrative. I mean, if you can be just on that borderline of believable, where people might say, okay, he's really strong, he's really good looking, but maybe it's possibly achievable naturally. I don't know. You can make a lot of money on this.
But CrossFit didn't make sense. They could have, since the beginning, just never tested.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would just assume guys are using steroids. Right? Well, now they test, and people assume guys just beat the system and use steroids.
Right.
So all they're doing, they're not helping their reputation at all. They're not helping it. They're just costing themselves a lot of money by testing.
Yeah.
Where they could
it's kind of a joke.
They could just let it go and say, do whatever you want to do. And we're looking for optimal human performance, and whatever it takes to make you better, go ahead.
Yeah.
So that's my rant for today. I want to ask you, so I've got to send everybody to this Instagram to see, I'm going to try some of these terrifying lifts that are going to probably hurt me badly.
They're really not that scary. And if any of it looks scary, would it be scary with a PVC pipe or an empty bar? I mean,
but you've got some tutorials on here underneath in your Instagram, and do you have a YouTube page also?
I do. I haven't been updating as much recently. I feel like I've put out better content on YouTube. I think I'm a little bit better at writing than editing videos.
Well, I want people to see this because I think what you're doing is really cool. It's Atlas Power Shrugged, at Atlas Power Shrugged on Instagram. Is that the same on YouTube?
Yeah, same on YouTube.
Atlas Power Shrug. It's been awesome talking to you, dude. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, and I just thought it was really fun and really interesting what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Likewise. Thanks a lot for having me on, man.
Yeah. Okay. So check them out, Atlas Power Shrugged, and you guys know what to do. You rate, review, and comment. And whole new studio coming up soon. Whole new studio. Yeah. So check us out on YouTube. No one still not doing well on YouTube. You guys are crushing it on iTunes, but not on YouTube. So rate, review, comment, and check out our YouTube page. Subscribe. Do whatever. Help out the show, guys, and join the Patreon.